Hello, this is Tyler Hankin,
And I'm Andrew Churchill.
and this is our CS2316 final project based on Spotify. So, the purpose of this project, we chose to analyze Spotify Music's leaderboards and user information because we enjoy music and we're also curious about the intricacies of optimizing music on an individual and personal scale. And doing this, Spotify creates recommendations for specific songs and artists, and we hope to discover how top charts and data trends such as listener information cohesively produce these. We're expecting to see some trends in listening history corresponding with popularity, and this is through the lens of both the artists themselves and the individual songs. And then these will be cross analyzed with more specific data directly from Spotify's API. So the first data set is our downloaded data set, which was found through HTML, safely downloaded. And we had to clean this data using pandas. There were a lot of nan values in the data, and we just dropped those. But eventually we were left with a very nice data frame from pandas that was written to a CSV file that contained a lot of popular songs in general.
And then for our API data collection data set, this data set provided important numerical data to support our existing data about top songs from the downloaded set. We extracted this data from Spotify's API and used the code to specifically extract our desired attributes, which is displayed below. Much of the numerical data we found helps provide concrete arguments for our analysis, making it easier to support our arguments with clear data. And the trends we expected to find would coincide with our downloaded data in order to provide a well-rounded background for determining Spotify's song recommendation system.
And then for our last data set, we scraped this using Beautiful Soup from an HTML file. It contains the top artists of early 2023, and there are four main attributes that we focused on, all pertaining to the number of listeners and the fluctuations in that number. The snippet of the code on the left explains how we extracted the raw data from the file, and then on the right is the same process that we use for all three of our data sets, and it shows how we wrote our clean data to a CSV file for further analysis.
And there were several inconsistencies within our data, including nan values, duplicate values, numerical formatting discrepancies, such as numbers being in scientific notation, and values we just didn't want to use. Much of the data cleaning was done through pandas using drop_na or drop duplicates and lambda functions, which is shown here in this code. And in cleaning our HTML dataset, the del word was used to remove the columns and rows we perceived to be irrelevant.
And then to analyze how Spotify actually categorizes music, we delved into our top artists and top songs data, and we focused on determining key factors such as popularity and danceability, noticing how effective these were in actually ranking the songs among different countries and demographics as well. And then we also tried to predict a potential future for artists' popularity by using their daily trend and listeners' data. And then to cross-reference this with our data from Spotify specifically, we analyzed the tailgate playlist on Spotify and compared the popular songs. Ultimately, we determined correlation between certain data points, such as liveliness and energy, which turned out to have a value of only 0.192, which was very small, meaning they were uncorrelated. On the left, you can see the code that eventually led to this predicted listeners after 2 months data frame that's pictured above with the red arrow.
And this scatter plot here shows the spread of data from the tailgate playlist, which was our API data. And it shows the correlation between energy and liveliness, which are attributes of the songs in the tailgate playlist. We predicted that there would be a strong correlation between these two attributes since they seem to have a very similar meaning. However, we found that there was only a 0.192% or 0.192 Pearson's correlation between these variables, which is very low, meaning they are not correlated.
The second visualization is a bar graph that shows the mean popularity of the songs in our 4x4 time signature. The left bar is much greater than the right, meaning that the averages on the left are more popular, and the difference in means is roughly 1,700 or 1,800. It should be noted that the measure for popularity is influenced by the total number of plays the track had and how recent those plays are. Some key insights we gathered were that some of the data was thought to be uncorrelated, as we saw with the energy and liveliness of songs. We also found some discrepancies among different countries for their rankings and artists, depending on how they prioritize different factors in the songs and how they're ranked. We also determined that songs and artist recommendations depend on many factors, some of which are country of residence, danceability, popularity, energy, listeners, and genre, but there are still many more data points that further articulate and specify recommendations for Spotify. And we had to generalize some measures for data points. For instance, like we just said, the measure of popularity for a song and how that's measured, we had to ensure that that was the same for each of our data sets. So in conclusion, our research has demonstrated that there are many intricacies and factors that play a role in recommending songs through Spotify software, and among these we have specified that country of residence, danceability, popularity, energy, listeners, and genre are all very important in determining recommendations. And it is also important to highlight that these recommendations also depend on trends in personal search history and listening history, which cannot be publicly accessed as easily.
Thank you for watching our presentation. Throughout this project, we have learned new ways to collect, search for, and refine data into meaningful and powerful arguments. We expanded thoroughly upon our knowledge of pandas and beautiful soup, specifically by using unique functions and modules.
All right. Thank you for watching our presentation.